Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We are here with actually our final guest from Fanside, Gary Klutt, driver of the 59 New Techwood Dodge for RGC Sports and Legendary Motor Car. Look at that. He's got the wear on. He's showing off the beautiful hat and repping the colors for New Techwood. He's also the host of the Gary Klutt podcast. Gary Klutt, welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, let's start right with that. The podcast, man, taking off. You've had some of the best, really some of the coolest guests on there so far. Now, I can't say I know everybody that's been on the show, but you had somebody on this last episode that we definitely want to plug that was really, really cool. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we had Lance Stroll on, which is great. Kind of probably I guess him and Latifi are the two guys in Formula One. Heroes. Guys, so. Yeah, no, it was good. And right before the Canadian Grand Prix was good. He's like him and I have a lot in common, and so we had a lot of good stuff to chat about. And just he hasn't done many interviews, so I thought it was kind of interesting to hear his approach, just his approach to driving. And he's a legitimate professional athlete, so lots of stuff I could kind of pick his brain on.
When is he going to run the Pinty series with you, man?
That was a good question. I never asked that.
Oh, man.
I don't know if it will ever happen, but maybe
get him a GP3
maybe when he's a little bit old. Maybe. I mean, I probably should have asked when he's gonna put me in a car at Le Mans with him. So
yeah, there you go. That would actually be.
Yeah.
I'd pay to see
that.
Yeah,
spin that in your favor for sure.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk about the podcast, man. Why did you want to have your own podcast this year?
Oh, it's something I've been thinking about for years now. Just kind of never really had the time, and you can give yourself a million excuses as to why to not start something, but kind of just a couple stars aligned, and it became easier for myself to do it just out of the shop. And yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it was like I was, in the back of your mind at all times, you have to do it. So I didn't really have a choice, and then just kind of figuring it out. Still, I think we're on episode 13 now. So don't really know exactly who the audience is yet, or the key audience. Like certainly there's a lot of different a lot of race fans on there for sure, because that's easy for me to do, and I can really relate, and I think I have pretty good questions for guys. But I don't know, just kind of want to explore and go pretty broad with it and see where it connects with people.
It's an interesting topic, because I think when we started out, Gary, we kind of, I mean, great. Don't you remember? Like our whole thing was, it's going to be Pinty series only.
Sure.
Yeah. And after a while, you kind of realize, you know what? I'd want to talk to this person and that person. That's what I think is really refreshing about your podcast, is that it's who you want to talk with. And that's so different from a lot of podcasts where it's kind of like, we only stay in this lane. Well, it's like yours is kind of, you're going to talk to anybody and everybody that interests you. And I think that's going to bring in a wide variety of fans. Were you nervous at all starting a podcast, because it is all about views and it's all about whether or not people are going to like it and so on and so forth? But I mean, you have experience. I mean, Graydon, I think we've seen Gary as a host of a couple of really good shows. One that was on Chorus Entertainment, YTV. And I still think that you need to do that. Whatever, I can't remember what it was called. Drive Your Heart Out, I think maybe, or
Driving Me Crazy.
Driving Me Crazy. We need to do that, but with the Pinty's drivers. I just think that would be, especially the water tank one. That's like that's the best one, right? But for
the record,
go ahead.
So for the record, I don't know how to look up our numbers, so there's no pressure for me.
Love that. Yeah, no, I mean, I always said, like, yeah, I understand, Cam, like it's, there's definitely everything's so measured, how many likes you get, how many viewers you have, how many subscribers and stuff. But I said, I want to just put my head down for 3 years and just see where it goes. That's certainly part of it, and it's probably something I've got to do better at, as far as, I think I've got a pretty good product and video and how everything looks. But I'm not posting it on Reddit. I'm not doing stuff like that I know definitely helps. So we'll see. I mean, it really depends on the guests. Some of them have really taken off and done pretty good numbers. Some of them fall on their face, but still enough people listen to it and get a bunch of value out of it. So I wouldn't care if I shouldn't say I wouldn't care if anyone was listening, but these are conversations that I want to have regardless. And I think it's a great excuse to have those conversations. It gives me the ability to talk to people that I wouldn't ever get to talk to. And it's I do love having conversations. It's just very rare that we sit down with the intentionality of actually having a conversation just for the sake of it. So it gives me the opportunity to do all that.
Wow.
That sums it up
What an
pretty
answer.
well. Right, bud? Yeah, like that's why we do it. I mean, we've said that too, where it's things that we want to ask you guys when you guys are at the office, so to speak, and you're busy and you have time for the small talk. And when you do come out and do interviews with you, we're appreciative of that time. But like, we don't want to like be there and be in the way of that. So like when this opportunity became available to us to go beyond that, it's everything we want to talk to you guys about with more time to do it. So we totally get where you're coming from there. So segue into this season, you're back running ovals, road courses. You got a seemingly pretty strong, I've even referred to it that you don't seem to accumulate rust, let alone have to shake it off. So how you doing? How you feeling about this season so far, bud?
Yeah, pretty good so far. I mean, I'm really itching to get to Toronto. I want to see how the new car performs on the street course. Having not been there since 2019. I mean, I know, like, even if the car wasn't perfect at most port or at CTMP, I know we could still run up front there. I feel pretty confident there, but I'm really curious to see how good it is on the street course and on the flat tracks like iCar and Three Rivers. Getting back to Three Rivers, it's been a while, so I don't know. I feel confident. I mean, we'll see. We'll just take it one weekend at a time. Learning every weekend on the ovals. Like, I just have so few oval starts compared to so many of these guys that, like, I'm still frankly just learning how to drive those things faster. You can't treat it like a road course. And I've probably only done, I don't know, trying to think how many oval races I've done in my life. It'd be under 30. So just learning that, getting more comfortable on the outside, just stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Trial by fire, that's one of my favorite terms, because it happens so often for racers where that's the only way you're going to learn, basically, is just get thrown into the deep end of the pool and just fight it out. But you seem to adapt well to different disciplines and manage to bring the car home in one piece and with a fairly good result, it seems like, more often than not. So you're sitting pretty well all of 3 races in. You're doing pretty well in the points.
Yeah, I think we're 2 points back of the lead, and it's
yeah,
a tight
it's tight. Yeah. It's so tight, right?
Fourth and 4 points.
Yeah. Oh, 4 points. Okay, yeah. So yeah. I mean, it's still super early, and the goal is just to have good finishes, finish every race. Obviously, we want to definitely get a win this year. We've had it snatched from us a couple times. So
don't make me cry, man.
Yeah,
we were right there. He knows. He knows. He had to hold me as I was freaking out.
Yeah. So no, that's definitely the goal. But I mean, more so still, I love getting to run the whole season. Is so much for me is about chasing the championship, and it's it's rare. Like I haven't got to do that in the last few years, and I miss that, and I love that kind of racing. I love thinking about it all summer. So I mean, finishing every race is important.
Well, let's hear about how the RGC Sports deal came together, because that's obviously taken off. You've got a lot of strong teammates, and you guys. It's funny actually. You're leading the charge of the RGC Sports guys right now, and it's got to be really exciting for you to have a bunch of teammates out there, and obviously a lot of the field already. But how did this whole thing come together?
Yeah, I mean, I just really, I'm sure it started a few years before it really, before this, but TJ coming into the sport and just supporting everyone so well, and seeing young talent, and having such a, he's a big thinker type guy with big visions and always doing big projects. So this probably wasn't even that big a project for him, but yeah, bringing Richard on, and really trying to find a bunch of sponsorship and give myself and Trayton and Brandon the opportunity to go try and win a championship under his banner. Like, can't thank the guy enough. Like he's done so much for the sport, and it's awesome, being on the track with like however many teammates we have, 4 or 5 guys. Yeah. So no, it's good, and every weekend, hopefully having, whether it be Brandon or myself or Trayton or even, Dilly with the opportunity to win a race. I think that's its goal, is having someone in the RGC sports car being able to win every weekend.
Well, you have a very good contrast of drivers, because it's funny because you kind of come in as the road course ringer, I guess you'd say, of your RGC Sports teammates, and you're surrounded by guys who are all really good on ovals. So it's like you've got so much to learn from, right? Is that a different experience than what you've had before? Because obviously you had worked with, you had been on the full season before, but you didn't really have as many teammates, I guess you could say, out there, right? Here you've got a lot of people, and the series as a whole this season. Gary, can you speak to what's it like? Because it seems tight just from the point standings, but on the track, it looks pretty crazy.
Oh, it's like never before. It's like no other season. You go back to my first couple years, or like where I was doing a couple starts in the season or series, and it was like 2014, 2015. You had guys winning road course races who would never even be in the top 5 this year. You've got guys now like Lacroix and Tagliani and Ranger, of course, and however many years Dumoulin's now been in the series, like he's always a threat. And with the addition of me coming back, Trayton, Watson, like all these guys can race. Like it is a stout field. It's got to be the most competitive it's ever been.
That's the season we've been waiting for, right? Like, there's the detractors, but this is where all those guys can take their words and stuff it, because from top to bottom, like there is a separation in the field, obviously, but for how many teams that are there to win and are there to looking to win a championship this year, it's like never before for a lot of these drivers, and including yourself. It's a deep field in a short season, so if you get behind early, it's a hell of a hole to dig out of. So having the start that you're currently off to has to bode well going into the summer stretch, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just, while you're talking there, I was just like, man, like Marc-Antoine came back with a killer car.
Yeah, those guys are coming out swinging.
Yeah, and it's Lassard is no slouch. Like, man, no one probably has a better winning percentage than him. So yeah, no, feel good so far, but again, like, just got to keep our head down and take it race by race.
Well, there's a couple of places that you have not raced at before that you're going to race this season. Let's take an example. Obviously, this upcoming week at Eastbound Park in Newfoundland, that's got to be a crazy experience to go out there. It's the first time.
No notebook.
no notebook there, and then Oshweekend as well, going dirt racing. Gary, I know I can't believe we have to say this, but we talked about that last time you were on the podcast, and then it never happened.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, you have it. Hopefully, this season. What's it feel like going in with absolutely no previous experience on those tracks?
Yeah, frankly, I'm looking forward to this weekend for sure, coming up with no experience. I've always enjoyed going to tracks where no one gets to test. I think we can run pretty good at those tracks. Just, whereas you go to a place like Delaware and it's like, man, DJ's been running there since he was 17 and he's got a notebook and everyone knows every bump there. As if we can just kind of just adapt in the moment, I think we'll run pretty well. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be exciting. And then, man, I guess Oshweekend, though, who knows? Who knows? Like, I have no idea what to expect, how the cars are going to be, how tacky the track's going to be, how much mud and rocks are going to be flying everywhere. You just want to get out of there in one piece.
The grip it and rip it motocross mentality.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, it's gonna be a blast for sure. But just gotta finish that race for sure.
Well, Gary, we would go hours long, but we know you're a busy guy. You've got a lot of stuff that's happening in your life right now. So obviously, next year should be a very interesting June 18th for you, or June 19th maybe, which is going to be very exciting for you. And then, of course, you said you said you got full season here battling for a championship. You got a podcast, so we've got to plug that, Gary. How can we find the Gary Klutt podcast?
Yeah, man, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube. Check it out. If everyone goes there and likes and subscribes, all that good stuff, give it a rating. You guys know the deal. Man, I appreciate you guys having me on. We can, if you have more questions, we can keep going. I'm good, but if not, I'll come back anytime.
Well, I don't know. We gotta leave it up for Mr. Graydon Bunn there.
We do. I just wanted to speak to Father's Day. You kind of know maybe something about that coming up. But Father's Day is always typically a great weekend for car shows and that sort of thing. Your daily life with Legendary Motorcar and stuff. It's from I love cars. I would have a much larger property with a giant garage full of them if life allowed it. But I mean, it would be my drug. It sort of is my drug, sort of vicariously through this and our Dodge Durango with the little Hemi in it. But what is your assessment of the car hobby right now? Because to me, it seems like while everybody was locked down, people were working on stuff, because it seems like people got a lot of cool stuff out on the road this year.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think everyone for those last 2 years, if people weren't working on their houses, they were definitely working on their cars.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time and money on that stuff. The car market, there's a lot of good cars out there. Things are trading hands more and more. But I think a lot of people did a lot of soul searching during those last 2 years, and they've sold some stuff they didn't like, chased after some stuff that they've wanted their whole lives, kind of thing. Everyone's really looking for what they really want and good quality stuff. There's more and more demand for the best stuff.
That's awesome. It just, man, yeah, just driving down the road, there's head turners everywhere, eye candy all over the place. And that's not even just in the like road cars. I mean, race cars too. There's people working on race cars and bringing out stuff that they haven't necessarily brought out before, or something that's been worked on for a while and retuned on. So it just seems like a good time to be an automotive or fan of the automobile, fan of racing in general.
No, for sure. I think there was a lot of pent up demand for racing, you know. Yeah, you look at every series right now. I think there's, you know, whether it be IndyCar, F1, like racing is strong. It's people are interested in it and into it and following it.
Yeah.
Well, having names like yourself, Gary, having a show that's involved in racing, that helps. Obviously, like Dale Jr. With his podcast, and I feel like I don't know, maybe you would agree on this, that Junior was really the guy that started, it seemed like, the racing podcasts, because it feels like that's been taken off. And even here in Canada, like we now have a good amount of racing podcasts that are coming out. You know, I don't know if things would have really gotten this way through the pandemic. Really, I think it gave us certainly an opportunity to start. And now, as you mentioned, with everything working out the way it is with the car markets, I'm very curious, because I'm curious to hear about what your comments are on certain cars, because our man Graydon Bunn here had himself a weekend and got himself behind some very, I don't know what's the word, exquisite rides this past weekend. And I'm very curious what rides Graydon was behind the wheel of that maybe you would find appealing, and what you particularly like about these vehicles. Graydon, I'll let you handle that.
Yeah.
Put him on the spot.
So our plan, we started, I didn't want to say at the bottom, but like with what we were most used to. I went with my brother-in-law, Gary Ward. I think my boys love Gary's in general. And for what it's worth, they do say hello. But yeah, Riley had a bone fracture, so he's a little under the weather. And then Owen's his MC for his grade 8 graduation in a couple of days, so he's prepping for that. So
very good. Yeah, no, tell him I say hi for sure.
So yeah, I will do that. But we started with the C8, and they're all automatics, of course, but the GTA exotics people were super cool. And my brother-in-law drove first, so we ripped out of the gate and chirped her sideways out onto the street and everything. And they said it was awesome. The way the driver debrief was like, basically think of it as a high-speed funeral procession. Like if you're hitting a yellow light and over half the convoy's through it, just keep on trucking. People will stop. And and then we moved into the new Acura NSX with the dual electric motors, when you're just kind of trolling along, and then put your boot into it and you get into it's a 6-cylinder, but it threw you back in the seat harder than the Corvette did. It was pretty sweet.
Wow. Huh.
I'm embarrassed because Owen probably knows it better than I do. I can't remember which McLaren model it is, but so our thing was with the cars with ceramic brakes, when they get up to it, they need to have like the proper working temperature to respond properly. So we're like, let's start with the steel brake cars, and then by the time we jump into the ceramic ones, then they'll be already warmed up and that sort of thing, and tires will have heat in them and stuff, because we're tooting around pretty good. The speed limits were kind of not reflected, I guess you'd say. Yeah.
How can you not, right?
Oh man, the gull-wing doors just get like you're just sitting in just such class. And there's an Aston there, but it was in the 3-hour tour, so we didn't get to drive it. But we learned that again, my ignorance on the models and stuff, the Mercedes with it's got the V8 and rear wheel drive. It's, oh my god, such a potent race car. And Porsche GT3R. It was just like a soft, like Easter egg purple, the most unassuming car. And probably I would like, I don't know if you'd agree with it, but for pound, probably one of the most potent cars in the lineup. I haven't got right to
Okay.
the Lamborghini Huracan and a Ferrari 488
Okay.
F88.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those would be spectacular cars. I mean, just
Again, all in automatic, but I mean, like where you
Yeah.
get in and it's not just like shifting from park into drive, or like even in an automatic. I mean, you get in and it's like take off the parking brake and hit the paddle, and then you're going. And then when
yeah.
you're going, you're like really going.
What was your favorite car to drive there? Was it the Ferrari or the Lambo?
Man, I don't. It's
Can't
so
say all of them, can you?
That's the thing. Like they're all. I love cars so much, but like sitting in each one of them, they all kind of have their own unique thing that I loved about them that I don't know if you'd know that, right? Like there's just so many neat things. Like the Corvette was just so obviously North American. It felt like at home basically, but with just superpower in the C8, like having the engine behind you and everything. It was such a neat feeling. And the Acura with just you're trolling around kind of silently, and then the thing wakes up the gas motor and turbocharge where you're like sucking air and like it's throwing you back in the seat, like we used to say you couldn't grab a pack of cigarettes off the dash or whatever. I don't know. I couldn't even put my finger on it for sure because it was just so much fun. We're gonna go back again. Actually, we're looking into another one.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's great. Like to be able to get to experience all those cars in a day, like there's no way to beat that. And then, man, like to go.
It's like friggin' Disney World for car people.
Yeah. No, I probably haven't even driven half those cars. Like, I love the Corvettes. Like, I think they're just what they did for under $100,000.
Yes.
I think it frankly embarrassed every other manufacturer. Like, and they should be embarrassed. Like,
that's a great point.
Is spectacular,
Mm-hmm.
spectacular. And then you go to like a Porsche GT3 RS, something like that, and you're a lot more money, but you can't beat it. You could go spend 6 hours beating the crap out of it around Mossport, fill it up and drive it home, and it would not complain at all. Like unbelievable track.
Exactly.
car.
It was like track ready in street trim, basically.
Yeah. No, 100%. But anyone asked me, like, I bang for your buck, Corvette's a no-brainer. All the way down the line to 2003 Z06 for $29,000. How could you go wrong? 400 horsepower dry sump car, like, all the way up to the new one. Like it's a no-brainer for anyone who wants to go to the track.
My face hurts from smiling. Like I've smiled so much the last few days. It's been awesome.
That's good.
Yeah. It'd be like going to Legendary Motor Car and getting to test out some of those rides that you guys got there. So, Gary, we really appreciate you coming back on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Let's throw out your sponsors that help you get to the racetrack.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, guys. We've got obviously we've got New Tech Wood on the hood there. Bothwell Accurate's back there helping us out a lot. Great guys there. And then we've got Superior Glovo is helping us out with our stuff there. And then all of everyone from RGC Sports, like they can't be overstated, how good TJ is to all of us, with all the sponsors that he's brought on this year for Watson and Dilly and myself and his car all lettered up. Everyone should go check out rgcsports.com. They've got a whole ton of cool stuff on their website. So man, he's the man. And he's the reason we're at the track this year.
Just need to have you with some Valamo water and some Pizzaville pizza and
Tradex, everyone,
the whole brigade.
Exactly. I need to have my water bottle here. TJ gave us really nice Valamo water bottles there.
We'll do the 59 plug.
There we go. That works.
These hats don't even fit on their big barrel heads anymore.
Good ones.
All right. Thank you so much, Gary.
All righty. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.